How about a quick talk about IJW, one of the biggest blending houses in the entire world of whiskey. Now, IJW is responsible for making Macfarlane's, First Call, Old Emmer, and Bondstone. Now, their expertise is that of blending because they have thousands upon thousands of casks of whiskey. Now, some of those whiskeys are ones that they got from creators because it's something they had and it was a good deal. But a lot of them are ones that they specifically designed at IJW and got those producers to make for them. So, one of the examples is Old Emmer. So Old Emmer has about 27% wheat in its distillate. And remember that all of these are bourbons, and bourbon has to be 51% corn. 51% corn is that lighter, sweeter sort of flavor. Now 27% of that last 49 is huge. Because corn is so light and sweet, it can easily be overpowered with things like barley, rye, or wheat. So Old Emmer has this really spicy, rich flavor to it because of all of that extra wheat. 27% is one of the highest percentages of wheat in any whiskey. Now, from that, you get ones like Macfarlane's. Macfarlane's plays around with their 4-grain, which is a great example of all the different grains that can go into a whiskey. And those are in the same vein as Maker's Mark, because Maker's Mark is a high wheat bourbon. Now, they also have First Call. First Call has their bourbon and their rye, but they also have their cask strength. They have their double oak. Now, double oak it's made in an oak barrel. Any bourbon has to be in a brand new oak barrel for at least 2 years to be a bourbon. If it's less than 4, it will say on the bottle. But 2 years in new oak is the limit for bourbon. Double oak means that they got it pre-oaked, it's ready to go, it's a bourbon, and they put it in another cask. They blended 2 different whiskeys into a new barrel together, soaking up that new oaky flavor, double oak. Now they also have their Break Maiden. Now the Break Maiden is finished in port wine casks. Now an important note on the Break Maiden is that the guy who's in charge of a lot of the major blending over at IJW is the same guy that was in charge of or helped create some of the styles of aging and blending at Angel's Envy and Michter's. Michter's is a big brand name that people look for, they scrounge for, but Angel's Envy is everywhere. Now, Angel's Envy is, of course, also finished in port barrels, but because of the brand that you're paying for and the cool bottle, you spend extra money on it. But Angel's Envy and First Call Break Maiden are very similar because of that port wine finish. Now, we've also got Bondstone. Now, Bondstone was one that they created using, again, 2 different houses of production that they put together. Those ones are high rye, whereas a lot of the other ones were high wheat. Bondstone is a high rye. Now, that adds a different kind of spiciness that is not as full-bodied as wheat is. So it's more accommodating. It also helps make the best kind of old fashions. The best old fashions go with rye, or at least high rye. So Bondstone is perfect for that. So Bondstone has its regular, it has its Distiller's Select, it has its cask strength, it has its double oak, but it also has its triple oak. Now Bondstone does, because it's getting its whiskeys pre-made, or at least pre-aged in those barrels, they then are easily able to do a double oak. You take 2 different separate ones, put them in the same barrel, like we talked about already with First Call. But how they get their triple oak is they have their barrel of the 2 that have already been oaked becoming this double oaked, and they create a chain of staves of oak that they feed into the barrel, giving it another source of oak, creating triple oaked. Now, something like that is big, it's rich, it has a lot of vanilla because it's coming from those oaky flavors. So, IJW is connected to all these big deal brands. They source from a lot of even bigger brands, and they have expertise connected to some of the biggest names, Angel's Envy among them. But what does IJW stand for? There's actually no correct answer. You ask anyone that works at IJW and they don't have an answer for it either. But what they joke around the office as saying IJW stands for is, it's just whiskey. There's no reason to take it too seriously. There's no reason to be lining up and getting crazy about it. It's just whiskey. Keep it light, keep it fun, and enjoy yourself. That's what it's for. Cheers. Now you know about IJW.